The Candlemakers of Tranquil Street. Read by Chuck Brown. On Tranquil Street, in the old quarter of a city that has learned to balance progress with preservation, stands a narrow shop whose windows glow with warm, steady light long after the surrounding businesses have closed for the evening. The building itself is unremarkable from the outside. 3 stories of weathered brick with green-painted shutters and window boxes that overflow with herbs whose names most people have forgotten. But those who know where to look can see the subtle signs that mark this place as something special. The absence of electric lighting in the windows, the sweet scent of beeswax and lavender that drifts onto the sidewalk, and the peculiar quality of peace that seems to emanate from within its walls. The shop belongs to Helena Brightwick and her partner Samuel Waxworth, master candlemakers whose craft extends far beyond the simple act of dipping wicks in melted wax. They are artisans of ambience, creators of comfort, and practitioners of an ancient art that understands the profound connection between light and the human spirit's need for tranquility. Their candles don't merely illuminate darkness, they transform it into something soft and welcoming, creating pools of serenity in a world that often forgets the value of gentle illumination. Helena discovered her calling by accident, as many of the best callings are discovered. 20 years ago, she was a stressed executive in a glass tower downtown, working 16-hour days and sleeping fitfully when she slept at all. One evening, wandering the old quarter in search of something she couldn't name, she stumbled upon the very shop she now owns. The previous owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Clearwater, was preparing to close the business for lack of anyone who understood that candlemaking was more than a craft. It was a form of healing. That first night, Helena purchased a single candle, described by Mrs. Clearwater as being made for those whose minds race when their bodies need rest. The candle was pale blue with veins of silver running through it like captured moonbeams, and when Helena lit it in her sterile apartment, something fundamental shifted in her understanding of what peace could feel like. The flame danced with perfect steadiness, casting shadows that seemed to breathe with calming rhythm, filling the air with a scent that reminded her of childhood summers and forgotten dreams. For the first time in years, Helena slept deeply and woke refreshed. The candle had burned for exactly 8 hours, the precise duration of a full night's rest, and had somehow taken with it all the accumulated tension she had been carrying in her shoulders and jaw. That morning, she called in sick to her corporate job and returned to Tranquil Street to learn everything Mrs. Clearwater could teach her about the ancient art of candlemaking. Samuel's path to the craft was different, but equally profound. A former chef who had lost his sense of taste in an accident, he wandered for months in a depression so deep it seemed to have physical weight. Food, which had been his passion and livelihood, became merely fuel, and the world lost much of its color and meaning. It was Helena, already 2 years into her apprenticeship with Mrs. Clearwater, who suggested that Samuel might find in candlemaking a different way to nourish people, not through taste, but through the creation of atmosphere that feeds the soul. The transition from creating flavors to creating ambience proved surprisingly natural. Samuel's understanding of how different elements combine to create complex experiences translated perfectly to the art of blending waxes, oils, and intentions into candles that could alter the very feeling of a space. His chef's precision and attention to detail, combined with Helena's intuitive understanding of what people need for true rest, created a partnership that elevated their craft to levels that even Mrs. Clearwater had never imagined possible. Tonight, As every evening when the sun has set and the city begins its transition from the bright urgency of day to the gentle surrender of night, Helena and Samuel prepare for their most important work. The shop's front room, where customers browse during daylight hours, is lined with shelves that display hundreds of candles in every conceivable size, shape, and color. But these are merely the standard offerings, beautiful and effective, but lacking the deep personalization that characterizes their true masterpieces. The real magic happens in the workshop behind the shop, a space that occupies the entire ground floor of the building and extends back into what was once a garden but has been enclosed and transformed into a candlemaker's paradise. Here, workbenches line the walls beneath windows that have been fitted with shutters to control the amount of natural light that enters. During the day, the shutters remain closed to protect the waxes and oils from the harshness of direct sunlight, but in the evening, they are opened to allow the gentle illumination of street lamps and moonlight to filter in. The workshop is organized with the precision of a laboratory and the warmth of a kitchen. Shelves along one wall hold dozens of different types of wax, each chosen for specific properties that contribute to the final product's effectiveness. There is beeswax from hives that are tended by monks who maintain their apiaries in meadows planted with herbs known for their calming properties. Soy wax from beans grown in fields that are never harvested during the full moon, when the plant's energy is said to be too intense for candles meant to promote rest. Even paraffin, usually scorned by artisan candlemakers, has its place here when purified through processes that remove not just impurities, but what Samuel describes as the aggressive qualities that make ordinary paraffin candles burn with harsh, restless flames. Another wall is dedicated to wicks, and here, the uninitiated might be surprised to discover how many different types exist and how much difference the choice of wick makes in a candle's behavior. Cotton wicks from plants grown in soil that has never known chemical fertilizers. Wooden wicks cut from trees that fell naturally in forests where human intervention is minimal. Paper wicks made from documents that recorded peaceful events, marriage certificates, birth announcements, letters of gratitude that have been carefully processed to remove all ink and return the paper to its pure state, while somehow retaining the positive energy of the words they once held. But the most extensive collection in the workshop consists of the oils and essences that give each candle its unique properties. These are not the crude essential oils sold in commercial shops, but subtle extractions that have been prepared through methods passed down through generations of herbalists and perfumers who understood that scent is one of the most direct pathways to the limbic system, where emotions and memories intertwine with physical responses. There are oils of lavender distilled from plants that were harvested at dawn when the dew still clings to their stems, capturing not just the flower's essence, but the tranquility of the morning hour. Chamomile oil from flowers that were dried in chambers where no artificial light has ever penetrated, preserving their ability to induce the kind of deep relaxation that leads to restorative sleep. Sandalwood oil from trees that grew in groves where meditation has been practiced for centuries, their wood somehow imbued with the accumulated peace of thousands of hours of contemplation. More exotic essences fill smaller bottles. Oil of night-blooming cereus, a flower that opens only in darkness and closes before dawn, capturing the mystery of night in its brief bloom. Extract of moonflower, whose pale petals seem to glow with their own inner light and whose scent can calm even the most agitated mind. Essence of evening primrose, whose yellow flowers open with audible pops at sunset, releasing fragrance that speaks directly to the body's circadian rhythms and encourages the natural transition from wakefulness to sleep. As Helena and Samuel begin their evening's work, they move through the ritual of preparation that centers their minds and prepares their spirits for the delicate task ahead. This preparation is as important as any ingredient they will use, because they have learned that the state of mind of the candlemaker becomes somehow embedded in the finished product. Candles made in haste or frustration will burn restlessly, while those created with patience and loving intention will radiate the same qualities they were imbued with during creation. The preparation begins with the lighting of a single candle that sits in the center of the workshop. Not one of their own creations, but a simple white taper that Mrs. Clearwater lit on her last day in the shop and instructed them never to extinguish. This eternal flame has burned for 8 years now, fed by successive candles, but never allowed to die completely, serving as both inspiration and connection to the long tradition of which they are merely the latest practitioners. By the light of this ancestral flame, Helena and Samuel review the orders that have accumulated during the day, each one representing not just a commercial transaction, but a plea for help from someone whose sleep has been disturbed, whose rest has been interrupted, whose peace has been shattered by the countless stresses of modern life. They read each request carefully, noting not just the specific complaints, but the undertones of desperation or hope that color the language, understanding that successful candlemaking requires as much empathy as technical skill. Tonight's orders include a request from a new mother whose infant sleep schedule has left her so exhausted that she can barely function, desperately seeking something that might help her catch a few hours of restorative rest during the brief windows when her baby sleeps. There's an order from an elderly gentleman whose arthritis pain has been keeping him awake, looking for something that might ease not just physical discomfort, but the frustration and sadness that come with a body that no longer cooperates with the spirit's desires. A young college student has written asking for help with the anxiety that builds each night as she contemplates the next day's responsibilities, her mind racing with worries about exams and grades and career prospects until sleep becomes impossible. A middle-aged businessman, recently divorced and living alone for the first time in 20 years, needs something to help him adjust to the silence of an empty house and the absence of another person's breathing beside him in the darkness. Each of these requests requires a different approach, a unique combination of waxes and oils and intentions that will address the specific type of restlessness that prevents peaceful sleep. Helena and Samuel have developed an extensive catalog of recipes over the years, but they never simply follow formulas. Each candle is a bespoke creation, adjusted and refined based on intuition and experience until it feels exactly right for its intended recipient. For the exhausted new mother, Helena selects a base of soy wax that burns slowly and evenly, ensuring that the candle will provide its benefits for the maximum amount of time. To this, she adds a small portion of beeswax from hives that are located near fields of chamomile, giving the candle natural sedative properties that will work gently and safely even around an infant. The wick will be cotton, dyed with extracts from flowers that bloom only at night, creating a flame that burns with the soft blue undertones that research has shown to be most conducive to rapid sleep onset. The scent blend for this candle requires particular delicacy, since it must be effective for the mother while being mild enough not to disturb a baby's sensitive respiratory system. Helena chooses a base of sweet orange oil, known for its ability to reduce cortisol levels and promote feelings of safety and comfort. To this, she adds tiny amounts of vanilla extract, not the synthetic version used in baking, but true vanilla from pods that were cured in caves where the temperature and humidity never vary, creating an essence that speaks to the deepest parts of the brain that remember being cradled and comforted. The final touch is a whisper of lavender oil, but not from the common variety found in most commercial products. This lavender was grown in high mountain meadows where the air is thin and pure, where the plants must struggle against harsh conditions to survive, creating flowers whose essential oils are concentrated and powerful. Only 3 drops will be added to the entire candle, just enough to create an almost subliminal suggestion of peace without overwhelming the more subtle base notes. While Helena works on the new mother's candle, Samuel begins crafting the remedy for the arthritic gentleman. This candle requires a completely different approach, since physical pain often creates a cycle where discomfort prevents sleep, which increases sensitivity to pain, which makes sleep even more elusive. Samuel chooses a blend of waxes that will burn at a slightly higher temperature, creating more pronounced scent throw while still maintaining the even burn that prevents the harsh flickering that can increase anxiety in people who are already suffering. The base scent for this candle comes from wintergreen oil, not because of any direct pain-relieving properties, but because its clean, sharp aroma has been shown to help the brain process pain signals more effectively. Samuel adds this to a complex blend of eucalyptus oils, not just the common variety, but rare subspecies from different continents, each contributing its own subtle variation to create a scent profile that evolves as the candle burns, preventing the olfactory fatigue that can reduce a fragrance's effectiveness over time. But the most important ingredient in this candle is one that appears on no ingredient list and can be detected by no chemical analysis. As Samuel shapes the wax and positions the wick, he focuses his mind on memories of his own grandmother, who suffered from arthritis in her later years but never lost her gentle spirit or her ability to find joy in small pleasures. He thinks of the way she would sit in her garden in the early morning, watching the sunrise despite the pain in her joints, finding peace in the simple beauty of light growing stronger with each passing minute. This intention, this memory of grace in the face of suffering, becomes somehow embedded in the molecular structure of the cooling wax, creating a candle that will burn not just with pleasant fragrance, but with the subtle emanation of courage and acceptance that can help transform pain from an enemy to be fought into a temporary visitor to be acknowledged with dignity. The third candle, for the anxious college student, presents different challenges. Young people's anxiety often manifests as mental hyperactivity rather than physical tension, requiring scents that can calm racing thoughts without inducing the heavy drowsiness that might make studying impossible. Helena selects a base of refined paraffin that has been treated with flower essences, not essential oils, but the more subtle energy imprints that capture the vibrational qualities of plants without their stronger chemical components. The scent blend begins with bergamot oil from fruit that was harvested during a waning moon, when the natural sugars are at their lowest concentration and the oil carries more of the plant's calming alkaloids. Bergamot has the unique property of being simultaneously uplifting and relaxing, able to ease anxiety without creating the sedation that might interfere with academic performance. To this base, Helena adds minute quantities of frankincense oil from resin that was collected from trees growing in regions where the nights are particularly clear and starlit, creating an essence that seems to carry within it the vast perspective of cosmic space. The final component is the most unusual. A few drops of oil extracted from paper made from plants that grow near libraries and universities. Plants that have spent their entire lives absorbing the vibrations of concentrated learning and intellectual achievement. This oil carries within it the essence of focused study and successful learning, helping to transform academic anxiety from a hindrance into a tool for enhanced concentration. The fourth candle, for the recently divorced businessman adjusting to solitude, requires perhaps the most delicate touch of all. Loneliness is not simply the absence of company, but an active ache that can make the silence of an empty house feel overwhelming and threatening. Samuel approaches this challenge by creating what he thinks of as a presence candle, one that will fill empty space not with the illusion of companionship, but with a sense of companionable peace. The wax base combines soil and coconut wax in proportions that create a burn profile resembling the rhythm of quiet breathing, with subtle variations in flame height that suggest the gentle presence of someone sleeping peacefully nearby. The wick is made from cotton that has been treated with extracts from plants that grow in successful community gardens, carrying within its fibers the memory of cooperation and mutual support. The scent is built around cedarwood oil from trees that grew in forests where multiple species coexist in harmony, each supporting the others in an intricate web of mutual dependence. This creates a bass note that speaks to the subconscious of connection and belonging, even in solitude. To this, Samuel adds oils of pine and fir from trees that grew on mountainsides where they stand alone, but remain connected to their forest community through underground root networks that span miles, sharing nutrients and information in ways that science is only beginning to understand. The creation of each candle is a meditation in itself, requiring complete attention to the subtle changes in temperature, texture, and scent that indicate the precise moment when each ingredient should be added. The wax must be heated to exactly the right temperature, hot enough to blend thoroughly with the oils, but not so hot that the volatile compounds that carry the essential properties are driven off by excessive heat. The oils must be added in precisely the right sequence, each one building upon the foundation created by those that came before, creating layers of scent that will reveal themselves gradually as the candle burns. The pouring of the wax into the molds is a critical moment that requires steady hands and complete focus. The wax must flow smoothly and evenly, without air bubbles that could create weak spots or irregularities in burning. The wick must be perfectly centered and held at exactly the right height to ensure even burning and proper scent throw. Most importantly, the pouring must be done with the focused intention that this candle will serve its purpose, bringing peace and rest to whoever lights it. As the candles cool in their molds, Helena and Samuel begin the process of cleaning their workspace and preparing for the next phase of their evening's work. The cooling process cannot be rushed. Wax that is allowed to cool too quickly may develop stress fractures that affect burning quality, while wax that cools too slowly may not achieve the proper crystalline structure that gives handmade candles their superior burning characteristics. While they wait, they turn their attention to other aspects of the craft. There are wicks to prepare for tomorrow's work, each one cut to precise lengths and treated with solutions that will ensure clean, even burning. There are oils to blend for future use, combinations that must be mixed in advance and allowed to marry for days or weeks before they reach their full potential. There are molds to clean and maintain, removing every trace of previous use to ensure that each new candle will be uncontaminated by residual energies from earlier creations. This maintenance work is as meditative as the candle making itself, requiring the same careful attention to detail and intention that goes into the more obviously creative aspects of their craft. Helena finds particular satisfaction in the precise measurement of oils, the mathematical precision required to create blends that will behave predictably while still retaining the subtle variability that distinguishes handcrafted products from mass-produced items. Samuel takes charge of wick preparation, a task that requires understanding of how different fiber types interact with different wax formulations. He tests each batch of treated wicks by burning small samples, observing flame height, stability, and the rate at which the wick curls and self-trims during burning. This testing process can take hours, but it ensures that every finished candle will burn exactly as intended, without the flickering, smoking, or drowning that characterizes inferior products. As midnight approaches, the evening's candles have cooled sufficiently to be removed from their molds. This moment always brings a sense of anticipation, as the true success of each creation can only be judged when the finished product is revealed. Helena and Samuel approach each mold with the care of archaeologists uncovering precious artifacts, knowing that any carelessness at this stage could damage hours of careful work. The new mother's candle emerges as a pale cream pillar with subtle swirls of silver running through it like captured moonbeams. The surface is smooth and flawless, with no air bubbles or surface imperfections that might affect its burning qualities. When Samuel lights it for the traditional first test, the flame springs to life with perfect steadiness, burning with the soft blue undertones that indicate proper wick selection and optimal wax formulation. The scent that begins to fill the air is exactly as Helena intended, gentle and soothing without being cloying, present enough to be effective but subtle enough to remain unobtrusive. The arthritic gentleman's candle reveals itself as a deeper cream color with veins of pale green running through it, reminiscent of the jade that ancient healers believed could draw pain from afflicted joints. The wintergreen and eucalyptus oils have blended perfectly with the wax base, creating a scent profile that will evolve gradually as the candle burns, preventing the olfactory adaptation that could reduce its effectiveness over extended use. The student's anxiety candle appears almost crystalline, its refined paraffin base creating a transparency that seems to glow from within when lit. The bergamot and frankincense oils have created subtle color variations in the wax itself, like trapped aurora that will become more visible as the candle burns and light passes through increasingly thin walls of wax. The businessman's loneliness candle is perhaps the most remarkable of the evening's creations. Its combination of soil and coconut wax creating a surface that seems to breathe in the candlelight, expanding and contracting almost imperceptibly in rhythms that suggest the gentle presence of sleeping companionship. The cedarwood bass notes are immediately apparent but not overwhelming, promising hours of subtle comfort for someone adjusting to unexpected solitude. Each candle is photographed and labeled with information about its specific formulation and intended use, creating records that will allow Helena and Samuel to replicate successful formulas while also tracking which combinations prove most effective for different types of sleep disturbances. This documentation is part of their ongoing research into the connection between scent, light, and the human sleep cycle, research that they hope will eventually contribute to a broader understanding of how sensory environments affect rest and recovery. The finished candles are then packaged with care that befits their status as individually crafted remedies rather than mere decorative objects. Each one is wrapped in tissue paper that has been stored with dried herbs to ensure that even the packaging contributes to the overall therapeutic effect. Instructions are included for optimal use, how long to burn the candle before sleep, how to position it for maximum benefit, and what to expect during the first few nights as the body adjusts to the new sensory environment. As dawn approaches and their night's work draws to a close, Helena and Samuel take a few moments to light one of their own candles, a special blend they created for themselves, designed to ease the transition from the focused intensity of creative work to the restorative rest that their own bodies need. This personal candle burns with a flame that seems to dance in time with their synchronized breathing, filling their workshop with scents that speak of satisfaction, accomplishment, and the deep peace that comes from meaningful work completed with skill and love. The light of their personal candle mingles with the first rays of dawn filtering through the workshop windows, creating an atmosphere that bridges night and day, work and rest, the active creation of healing tools and the passive enjoyment of their benefits. In this liminal moment, Helena and Samuel can feel their connection to the long tradition of craftspeople who have worked through the night to create things of beauty and utility, who have understood that some of the most important work happens when the rest of the world sleeps. As they extinguish the eternal flame that has guided their work, carefully, reverently, knowing that it will be rekindled when evening comes again, they carry with them the satisfaction of knowing that their night's labor will bring peace to people they may never meet, comfort to souls they will never see, and rest to minds that have been too long disturbed by the harsh realities of modern life. The candles they have created will burn in bedrooms and living rooms throughout the city, their gentle flames creating islands of tranquility in lives that have forgotten how sweet true rest can be. And tomorrow night, as every night, Helena and Sam will return to their workshop to continue their quiet mission of transforming simple wax and oil into vessels of peace, one carefully crafted candle at a time. The end.